Hey folks, Village Idiot here, and we're going to dive into the day one impressions of the mid-month update. One of the biggest mid-months, maybe the biggest mid-month we've ever seen, with a new S.H.I.E.L.D archive event, 2 token events, and the 3 tier 4s, including 1 brand new character. But first I want to point your attention to redirect the topic to the farming. Because for the S.H.I.E.L.D archive event, you have to farm Dispatch with energy on, and you have to farm Dimension missions. And man, these palm trees, they are not easy to get your hands on. As you can see here, I did 91 runs overnight. Dispatch is really good to run overnight as well. If you can autoplay like stage 11, stage 12, or sector 11, sector 12. I'm farming sector 14-1, as you can see in the top left-hand corner, sort of. And yeah, in 91 runs, I was only able to get 7 trees. So it's putting the trees at like a 1 in 13 drop rate or something like that. Yeah, exactly 1 in 13. So pretty brutal. Save up your energy and then use it. Put it to good use. This is the team I was running, by the way. Doctor Strange lead with Storm and Valkyrie. Not necessarily the fastest team, but just the team that I personally like. And so if we go over to the archive event, you can see that I've already been able to claim the first reward just by way of farming 7 out of 10 palm trees. The good news is that we only have to farm 10 of the palm trees. And then for the ducks, the duckies that are really cute, you can get all of them for free by just going over to your inbox, going over to the notices tab, and then scrolling down, and you can see the duck float distribution notice. And you just press acquire. And then you're done. And then you have the 5 duckies. You go back. You go to combine data. You have to add them in to the S.H.I.E.L.D. Archive event. And then there you go. You're done. And that'll add an additional amount to whatever your percentage is. And then, yeah, I just need to get the 20 pineapple juices from Dimension missions, which I advise players to just do their regular number of runs, whether you do 10 or 20 or 30 runs a day for Dimension missions to get the contribution rewards. Whatever your normal limit is, just do that for the first few days and then check back in and see how you're doing, because this event runs for 13 days and you can see that the drops have 13 days left on them as well. So for the next week at least, possibly 10 days, you could just farm normally for Dimension missions and see if you can collect all of them anyways. But yeah, we've got the CTP. I don't know why I clicked that. It's got every CTP except competition. So competition is not in this chest. And then we have the tier 4 bundle where you get all 3 of those items. You don't choose one, you get all 3. So that is really good. It's over a day's worth of tier 4 materials. Just boom, absolutely free. Now, as far as the 3 characters, or the 2 new uniforms and the 1 new character, my overall opinion is mixed, because on the one hand, they have really, really nice skills. I have to say, aesthetically, everybody has super nice skills. She's got this meteor skill. She's got this one here. She's got the, kind of Nova explosion skill there. She even has this, dash to the side skill. Looks really, really nice. For Groot, very, very summery. I have to say, the summery look on him is fantastic. Not only the idle animation, but his rotation. You've got the he rides the duck on the 2nd skill, which looks sick. He's got the palm trees on the 3rd skill. The 4th skill brings down the pineapples, and then the 5th skill is pretty amazing. I have to say, visually, they cooked super hard. There's no way for you to miss that these are seasonals. The one thing I have to say is Emma, to me, her face looks a little darkened, like her makeup around the eyes, her eyeshadow and stuff like that. It's a little bit startling, but that's about the only thing. Even with Emma, her 3rd skill is amazing. This is her iframe ignore skill, which is really good because it's where she's gonna her bread and butter basically. And she turns diamond form on a diamond beach chair, so that just looks insanely cool. I have to say, they definitely cooked with that. And then her other skills also look really good. Her 2nd skill that you can instant cancel, it makes her dive up and splash down into you, but you can instant cancel it and see another Emma basically diving down, which is really, really funny. It's not working now. There we go. You can see her diving down, which is nice. Her 4th skill looks pretty sick as well. A bunch of Emmas show up and converge on you, which is a lot of people's dreams, I'm imagining. And then her 5th skill just creates a giant water ice kind of plume thing in the middle. Now, one thing to note for Emma is when you go into the practice combo, it just has you doing 5, 4, 3. That's the rotation. It's an instant cancel, which is really nice. You get all of the hits, so she's super proc friendly. Her damage is pretty good. It's not insane, but it's pretty good. It's probably a little bit lower than Bishop's, for example, but not bad. You do get 80 hits there, but you can, if you follow that, you get 82 hits. You're like, oh, that's pretty good, Alex. Just add in the second skill, 2, 5, 4, 3, and you'll bump that 82 hits up to 90 plus hits. So you can just add in an extra 10 hits for free if you just also include the second skill instant cancel. And then for the tier 3, it's basically the same thing. You're just going to instant cancel that as well, and then you'll see from the sky, there's like these giant things raining down, and you're going to get about 140 hits there. So just so you guys know, you can definitely splash in the second skill for Emma and have, you know, basically just an extra 10 hits for free. Now, as far as the performance of these characters go, I think some people have been disappointed, particularly with Emma and shalla-bal. I don't think people had necessarily the highest hopes for Groot because he is a support. In the case of both Emma and shalla-bal, I hate to say this, but I hate to say this, but tier 4 really matters these days. And I think we're at a point where you kind of need to take that into consideration. And it doesn't really make sense not to, because we're now 3 years in from having tier 4 in the game, right? Tier 4, more than 3 years. Tier 4 was 2022. So imagine, if you will, back when characters were getting their tier 3s. So tier 3 started in, what, 2018 with Infinity War? Imagine if players were in 3 years later in 2021, which is 1 year before tier 4 released. Imagine if they were still comparing characters at tier 2. And they're saying, oh, well, you know, this tier 2, this rework is pretty bad for Nimrod because he's tier 2. Well, you got to get him to tier 3 or Transcended before you can genuinely test him, right? So I think the same is kind of true. If you have, you know, a breakout character who can do a little bit of work at tier 3, that's nice. But I think realistically these days it can't be, and you just have to go straight to tier 4. And then unless the character is, you know, obviously if they're like a support or something like that, you can go lower. But I think the days of characters being outrageously good, particularly for PvP, before tier 4 is kind of over, because it just doesn't make any sense. You know, on the one hand, we're like, man, I really hope if they release shalla-bal as a new character, she's tier 4 day 1, and then players are testing her at tier 2 and tier 3 and saying she sucks. Well, why did you want the devs to release her tier 4 then, if you were going to not test her at tier 4 and then say that she sucks? I'm not saying she's good. I've seen some reports that she's bad even at tier 4, and what I have to say about that is her surfboard is very long. It probably needs to be a little bit shorter. It's extremely long. You can see it goes over my camera here, whereas Silver Surfer's board is considerably shorter, especially on the back end. And I think that's the same for all of his looks. Yeah, his board is much, much shorter than... his is tilted, though, to be fair. His is tilted. You can see when it's not tilted. But it looks... I guess his board looks more proportional because he's also bigger than she is. Whereas for shalla-bal, she's smaller, and she looks... And the board is also, like, much, much bigger. But yeah, that's just kind of the not the PSA, but just I wanted to insert my opinion here. Obviously, I don't have them at tier 4 yet, so I can't... it's really the back of her board that's too long, eh? Yeah, I don't know. I think it looks cool. I think it's nice to have a different one. But yeah, I think that it's nice to have new characters, even if they're not necessarily insanely good. Keep in mind for shalla-bal, yes, she does cost 5,200 crystals up front, but just like Adam Warlock, you do get the 1,100 crystal refund. So you can see here at Norenrad's lover, AAO, and abducted by Mephisto, which is what happens in the comics. She gets 770 and 330 crystals back, and then you get 1,100 crystals back. So 5,200 up front, and it ends up being 4,100. Not to say that isn't still really expensive. It absolutely is. But just to say that it is like Adam in every way, shape, and form where you do get a discount. I want to show you guys one thing here before we wrap up this initial impressions, because I think that I think the uniforms are good. I don't necessarily know if they're meta anymore, but it kind of just goes with the year, man. Like, we haven't really had meta uniforms the whole year. Storm is essentially the only meta uniform. I think Emma's probably going to end up being a really good combat counter. So she might be a really good counter to like Wolverine and other combat types like Carnage. But she's not going to like, I don't think she's going to compete with Null and Sentry and, you know, like day in and day out. You know, she may be able to trade with Sentry where she dies and Sentry dies, which I think is really, really good. But I think people just have to adjust their expectations if they were expecting Emma to just solo Null and Sentry or like solo a full Null double support team. I think those days are pretty much behind us, at least until we get, I don't know, native tier 4s, perhaps. But what I wanted to show you guys is what I think is a design flaw for shalla-bal. And that is because her 5th skill, which is her iframe ignore skill, which is really, really good that it's her 5th skill, it not only deals a very low amount of damage, but it's not an iframe itself. You can see that there. It's not an iframe itself, which is weird. She actually doesn't have many iframes. She doesn't have an iframe on 5. She doesn't have an iframe on 4. She doesn't have an iframe on 2. She only has an iframe on 1 and 3. Now, 3 is really nice, as you can see there. It does have a lot of hits, and it's a nice iframe, but it's not iframe ignore. So the issue is that against other reflect characters, if you see where I'm going with this, shalla-bal basically just kills herself when she uses her 5th skill. Because she's not an iframe during her 5th skill, and then what happens is she just takes a whole bunch of damage from reflect, and she collapses. So let me jump into a fight against Norin Rad Silver Surfer and show you what I mean. Okay, so we finally found a Silver Surfer lead team, and I want to show you guys what this looks like. Now, I'm not saying that shalla-bal should be like the greatest character in Marvel Future Fight. You can see the Wake Up Reflect there. But as you can see, okay, she got her 5th skill interrupted. Very nice. Very cute. Okay, she got the kill there, but what you'll see is she kills herself to reflect. And she's going to do it again here. Because she killed him. Okay, well, she still kills herself to reflect. She did the first time. She didn't the second time because the Silver Surfer happens to be particularly low build. But, you know, the issue is the same. I'm also seeing the possibility that her debuff cleanse on her passive isn't working correctly. This passive here. I have noticed a couple of times where the fight drags on and it doesn't refresh. So there may be some bugs in her kit that may be, you know, causing issues with her performance. But she may just not be that good. I don't know. I just wanted to bring that to the attention of the devs with the 5th skill probably needing to have an iframe. It's kind of ridiculous that a character that costs 5,000 crystals in 2025 only has 2 iframes. She definitely needs at least 1 more iframe, ideally on Cosmic Board Dash. And then she probably needs an additional heal. Having just the 20% heal, at least I would have it on the 5th skill, because that's the skill she prioritizes the most in autoplay, or maybe add an additional 10% heal here. I know it's really tricky specifically balancing reflect characters, because if you give them too much healing, then they just become unstoppable. So I recognize that, and you know, we already reflected on the fact that Silver Surfer only has 25% heal. So it's not out of the ordinary for reflect characters to have a low amount of healing. She only has 5% less than he does. But keep in mind, his healing is on his iframe ignore counterattack skill. And so I think they should move her healing to her 5th skill, and then probably also give her an iframe ignore. Sorry, give her an iframe on that skill the way that 3 does. Or just, I don't know, maybe move the iframe ignore ability to her 3rd skill. I don't know. Anywho, that's my take for my first impressions. I'll be tier 4ing shalla-bal and Emma Frost for sure. So don't worry, you'll be seeing reviews on those shortly. But in the meantime, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching the video. Smash the like button if you enjoyed the content. Don't forget about the S.H.I.E.L.D. Archive event. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care.